Lavonpal is located very far from Florida, and we shall start our story about it from afar. Once upon a time, a long time ago, there lived atheling Bie, who had two huge dogs that guarded his domain lands. When Bie grew old, he divided all his riches between his sons. But his youngest son, Bieḻapol, was hunting at that time. When he returned, his father bequeathed him two dogs, Stari and Gari, and ordered to let the dogs out, and Bieḻapol would receive all the land they would cover in a day. Bieḻapol caught two birds, one on the western edge of the forest and the other one on the southern edge, and released them. One bird flew to the west, and one of the dogs ran after it. The second bird flew south, and the second dog ran after it. That was how Belarus was formed. Following the dog's tracks, the two longest rivers in Belarus flowed, the Dniepr, the Dnieper, and the western Dźvina. It is called the Daugava in Latvia. Some historians believe that the western Dźvina is the river that ancient geographers called Eridanos, after the king of the rivers. In the early Middle Ages, the river was part of the trade route from the Varangians to the Greeks. Bieḻapol settled in these places and begat the Belarusan people. On the Dźvina bank, 6 miles from the Latvian border, there is a small Belarusan village called Lavonpal. Well, before we begin our story about Lavonpal, we shall get an insight into the city of Vienna and the Polish winged hussars. For over 300 years, the Ottoman Empire existed in 1299 to 1922, occupied various regions of Europe. At the end of September 1529, a huge Turkish army approached Vienna and surrounded the city. However, due to bad weather, the Turks lost many cannons and pack animals, and many of their soldiers were sick. Therefore, after a 17-day siege, they were forced to withdraw from the walls of Vienna. The second siege of Vienna by the Turks began in July 1683 and lasted almost 2 months. In early September, Turkish sappers blew up several sections of the city walls. The garrison and inhabitants of Vienna found themselves in a desperate situation. An army headed by John III Sobieski, King of Poland and Grand Duke of Lithuania, came to the aid of Vienna. Early in the morning of September 12, the crucial battle of the Allied forces, Poles, Austrians, and Germans, with the Turks began. In the evening of September 12, 20,000 cavalry under the personal command of John III Sobieski entered the battle and forced the Turks to retreat. The victory in this battle stopped the Ottoman Empire's wars of conquest in Europe. In the mid-18th century, Mikołaj Tadeusz Łapacinski bought the Churylewice country seat and renamed it Lavonpal in honor of his father, Lavon Łapacinski, a participant of the Battle of Vienna. In 1768, Mikołaj Łapacinski built a manor house in Lavonpal in the late Baroque style, next to which a French park was laid out. In his Lost Among the Forests and Swamps Lavonpal, Mikołaj Łapacinski collected a large library. The gem of the palace was his art gallery. They say that there were even 4 paintings by Rubens. Mikołaj Łapacinski's son, young Nikadzim, continued to collect books, documents, and art objects in the Lavonpal Estate. Young Nikadzim, like his father, was involved in politics, and also he was an engraver. After the first partition of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth in 1772, when the border with the Russian Empire began to pass along the western Dźvina, Lavonpal became a border village. In 1791, young Łapacinski erected a memorial column near the Dźvina bank in honor of the Constitution of 3 May 1791, to immortalize the place where freedom ends and non-freedom begins. The Constitution was adopted on 3 May 1791 by the Parliament of Rzeczpospolita, the personal union of the Kingdom of Poland and the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. For 123 years after the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth in 1795 ceased to exist, The Constitution of May 3 was a symbol of hope for the restoration of an independent state. Historians say that this constitution became the second ever codified national constitution after the U.S. Constitution. The Ḻapacinskis took an active part in the 1830 to 1831 uprising. At this time, Russian Cossacks invaded and plundered the estate. Soon, the Tsarist government confiscated the Lavonpal manor. By the early 20th century, the Ḻapacinskis managed to buy the estate in Lavonpal back. It became the cultural center of the region again. During the Soviet-Polish War, 1919 to 1921, the manor house was heavily damaged by artillery shelling. The last owner of the country seat, Polish historian and collector Józef Marii Young Ḻapacinski, donated the manor house to the Catholic Church and paid for its reconstruction into a church. In 1939, Lavonpal was returned to Belarus. After World War II, the Ḻapacinskis' estate was transferred to the local collective farm. Now it's abandoned, gradually crumbling away. Besides the manor house in Lavonpal, there is another architectural monument, the wooden Trinity Church, built in 1774. In 1839, the Unia Trinity Church was mandated to the Orthodox, who later destroyed the towers and built a small dome over the roof. Despite all the trials and losses, Lavonpal, lost among the forests and swamps, preserves its magical atmosphere, and the monuments left to us by our ancestors are symbols of civilizedness and freedom.